What's up? Good morning, guys. How we doing? Hope we're all having a good day here so far. Let's finish out the week strong. What do you guys say? Dips and Peaks, Kane, Biblical. What's up, guys? How we doing? Good morning. Redneck, good to see you. How we doing? Troutman, what's up, brother? What's going on? All right, ATR currently sitting just below 14. This is a 2-minute chart that we are looking at. Of course, we are still in what I would call a overarching range market. However, today, if you take a look up top left of your screen, that's going to be the 5-minute chart. So we have the 5-minute, the 2-minute, and the New York session daily. On the 5-minute, you can see clearly we had a bit of an intraday bull trend inside of an overarching range market. Okay, still a range market. Bears tried to break it out. Bulls took it right back inside of the range. And now we're back into a sideways, decreasing volatility trading range intraday. Which tells us to do what? Head down, scalp what we can, half to a whole ATR, risk what makes sense. Let's do it. Gaines, what's going on? Giovanni, Joe, Bo, Chris, how we doing, guys? Randy, Isaac, good to see you. All right, minute 40 left here on this 2-minute bar. Volatility is a little bit lower than we've seen the past few days. This time of day, for most of this week, honestly, we've been above 20 or so on the ATR, currently below 15, so still decent. You know, it's not 6. 13, 14 is plenty. We can work with that. So let's see what we can do. Clinton, good morning. Michael, how we doing? All right, 47 seconds out here. Things we got to pay attention to. I mean, on the 5, clearly we might see this become a thing, right? However, when you end up with this look that turns into this look, we got to delete these. See that? We're in a wedge. Okay, so I anticipate this is going to break one way or the other. Which way? In a case like this, it's maybe 55-45. You're looking maybe 55%, this is an estimate by the way, 55% probability that it breaks higher, 45 that it breaks lower. Why? Well, we're coming out of a little bull trend, intraday bull trend, and we have the 5-minute 20 EMA right below the wedge. So it's going to shift things a little bit, though a bear could come in and argue, yeah, but we're in a range market, so doesn't that kind of flip it back to at least 50-50? Yeah, maybe. That it breaks downside versus upside? Yeah, maybe. Which is why we just got to go back to the source, right? It always ends at the source, which is price action is always king. Tom, little bull flag action? Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it fades back into the range. I'm just going to trade price action, man. All right, minute 17 out from the rollover here, this 2-minute bar. Trying to break outside of that little wedge. See on the 5 up top, you can see we're trying to break out of that little wedge. Let's see if the Bears can get that done here. 60 seconds out. Yeah, it's going to be met with a little bit of buying pressure here. Bulls trying to take it back up inside. Let's see how we finish. Chris requesting the first $1,000 payout from a prop firm today. Good work. Good work. Hope to see that get approved. Man, if you haven't been to the point yet, which obviously we were all there at some point, where you've yet to really have any of your work from trading hit your bank account, you got a good feeling coming, man. It's a good feeling when you put in the work at the charts and all of a sudden you check the account. It's like, shit, this is real. This is real. This just paid my bills. It changes things a little bit. It's easy to look at this as kind of a silly, fun thing when you haven't had that reality set in where you check the account, there's money in it from doing the thing. If you haven't yet, man, I think do your best to just get to a payout. Even if it's a small payout, just take the money. Get it in your account. Look at it. Internalize what the fuck just happened. Mike, good work. Tom, 2 weeks ago, got daily withdrawals from Take Profit. Damn good feeling, yes sir. Yeah, Take Profit, man, those daily payouts are very, very nice. All right, 60 seconds out here from the close on this newer 2-minute bar. We're a minute 50 out from the close on the 5-minute bar. All right, 17 seconds here. Let's see if we get a nice low close. Inside close. Nothing we can do there. Next bar, 2 minutes out. Though we do have 50 seconds left on the 5-minute chart until that 5-minute bar rolls over. So let's go ahead and switch to a 5-minute chart here, just quickly. This is now a 5-minute chart that you're looking at. All right, this is one of those scenarios where it's like, well, it is a range market. Do we bet on a reversion back into at least the 50% retracement point inside of this bigger overarching range, or do we look at this as the range? For a scalp, I'm a little more inclined to look at this as the range. So let's take a peek here, see how this closes. Yeah, it's about 10 points away. I'm not even going to set a limit buy. All right, back to the 2. Back to the 2. All right, 2-minute chart here. This is what you're looking at. All right, nice push through. Got my eye on this wick back here. There's going to be a few stops there. There's another wick off screen that you can't see that's right there. That's that one right there, right? So, let's see if we can maybe do a little bit of stop hunting now that we're getting lower in that range. Could be a descending wedge. But pop through a little quick. Next bar, 2 minutes out. Sometimes you get that rollover, it instantly wicks through and then bounces a little bit, maybe to respect this. You know, this kind of idea. That's a good thing in my opinion. Saves you from a bad entry. When you see it, it's not really a mistake, you see it happen. All right, so this wedge up top now, top left on the 5-minute, I would call that for the most part broken, right? So let's get rid of that so we can have a fresh set of eyes if we're looking at the 5. Back to the 2-minute. Minute 12 out. Kevin, now, how we doing? $40 seconds. Explain your strategy. Well, if you got a couple of years, all in all, price action mixed with intraday and overarching daily, meaning the New York session daily chart mixed with intraday on the 5-minute and the 2 context. Price action mixed with context. What is context? Trend versus range. Hey, are we in a range market? Yes, on the daily chart, we're in a range market, 1000%. Okay, what are we looking at intraday? Well, we were looking at an intraday soft, well, actually kind of aggressive, turning into a softer bull trend, right? That is now turned into what I would call, I'd really call this still a trading range. You could call it a soft little bear channel. Fine. Either way. But the context is crucial. If you ignore the context, you're ignoring at least half of the decision-making process. I mean, you guys have seen, I've bought rollovers of strong bear closes because it's a range. If you're just looking at the price action, big mistake, I think, in my opinion. You know, there's never a trade that's like, wow, that was just the worst trade I've ever seen. Because remember, we talked about this yesterday, right? There's always two sides of the market. The worst probability you'll ever get on a one-to-one trade in the futures market is 30%. That's the worst. 90% of the time, the worst you'll ever get is 40%. So if you wanna avoid looking like kind of a dummy, don't ever look at someone's trade and say, wow, that's the worst trade I've ever seen. I wouldn't have taken that trade. You could just say, hey, I wouldn't have taken that. I'd have done the opposite thing. That's fair. That's fair. But don't say, wow, that has about a 4% chance of working with a 1-to-1 reward risk, because that's fundamentally incorrect. Statistically, you are wrong. All right, we got 26 seconds out here. Inside close. See that? Next bar, 2 minutes out. All right. Now, the deeper we get into this little pullback, the more I kind of start looking at this. However, based on the look on the 5-minute, which I'll show you here in a second. Here's the 5-minute, right? Based on this look, I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit more inclined. I mean, there's a few things going on here. We're kind of nearing that 50% retracement point, if not already there, on the full day's move, right? So we gotta think about that. You're gonna be met with some buying pressure. People who shorted that move all morning, finally being able to get out at break even, they have to buy those back, right? It can create enough buying pressure to at least flatten things out. We got to think about that. But I am more inclined to get short if we can get a nice, clean bear bar closing near the low. Even in the face of that 50% retracement, I'd be okay with that at this point, since we've already kind of tapped it. If we were just coming into it, I'd probably hold off. All right, 30 seconds out here. Let's see. You can see those bulls waking it back up as we sit right now. Let's get the copy trader engaged. Get a stop limit sell. Oops, move it back so we don't get a fill that we don't want. And let's get ready here. See that? Inside close. Basically at the wick low, the previous bar. Can't do it. Next bar. No trade. Shows a little insecurity out of the bears, right? They wick it back up right at the last second. Now, had we closed down here, you know, I know this looks picky. In my head, this is not picky. This is just necessary for the way that I'm trading. These are little decisions that can change things for you. We close right at that wick low. The bulls step in. They're like, yeah, I don't know about this. Look, trading range. The bears are like, yeah, maybe you're right. And they buy to close right before the bar closes. Or right before the top of the minute, right? There's a 2-minute chart. It's not all that commonly used, but the top of the minute is universal. So, you know, they come in, shows a little bit of insecurity. Yeah, I know it seems nitpicky, and it kind of is, right? But scalping is nitpicky. All right, 55 seconds out. Realistically, if we wanted to draw some, I'd probably draw it like that. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's a range. These things are always a range of, you know, 5-10 points in reasonable volatility. It's never an exact tick. It's not even an exact point. Bernard, hey, Nico got a payout today. 12K, taking a week off. Taking a week off, man. Well, congratulations. Good work. So you see this inside bull bar close. Not a fan of that. I can't do anything on that bull bar close, that last bar. So we're a minute 10 out from the close here of this bar. If we did get a nice... If we got a bull bar closing maybe in this region here, I'd get long above it with a stop limit buy. But this is starting to look kind of soft. So I'm not sure if we'll get that here. 47 seconds out. Yeah, Mike. Mike says, what company pays 12K? Yeah, Bernard. Figured it was probably Apex here. So was that, I assume that was a max payout on 50Ks? On 6 50K fundeds? Adds up quick, man. I think, what if you had, you know, 10, 15, 20? Something to think about. That's why I always say, man, if it's time to scale, if you're like, okay, I'm at take profit trader, I'm paying a lot of my bills, if not all of them, with my take profit trader payouts. But let's diversify, let's expand, let's scale, let's not get stuck in the trap of staying small. Let's keep getting bigger. Let's just force ourselves, get bigger, 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 bigger. You'll thank yourself in 5-10 years. That's why I always say, man, you know, Apex is the scaling, one of the best scaling props. It's not necessarily the best prop to just bootstrap going full time because you have to wait for the money. It can take a little while for the money to hit the account. It depends on the payout, honestly. I've had all different kinds of experiences. I've never been denied a payout at Apex, but I'm also, you know, if I know that, oh, like this account broke the 30%, consistency rule, I'm not requesting payouts until I've done the math and I know that it should get approved. A lot of people, like, as soon as it's eligible, they just request, even if, you know, one day was like 90% of their profits. Yeah, it's going to get denied. But Apex is fantastic for scaling. When it's time to scale, man, that should be a stop on your list. Shouldn't be the only stop, though. All right, 42 seconds out. Let's see here. This is an interesting little setup, huh? I don't mind that at all. Let's see if we can close near that wick high. Not too much further, though. I don't want to get too close to the dead center of the range. We're already pretty damn close. All right, bulls, calm down. Stay put. Stay put. What's ATR? ATR is 16. Yeah, there's plenty of room. Let's just see if we can get a nice quick little fill. I'll maybe give it 10 seconds here. Boom. Pop that there. See if we can get a fill. Within 10 seconds. There we go. We'll get a fill. There you go. Open P&L on screen. All right, I got a second to... No, I do not. All right, again, now ATR last bar had a 27.5 point range. So ATR is creeping up a little bit here. There we go. See if we can get a push back up toward the top third, or into the top third of this trading range here. Gotta be careful with the asks we're making. We're coming into the 20, the 20 EMA on the 5 minute. Just a heads up. ATR 16, looking for maybe, again, between half and a whole ATR, depending on how price action acts up here. 53 seconds out on this 2 minute bar. Pressing now into, well, trying to press into the top third of this little wedge we have drawn. Again, not an exact science, it's always a range. Taking this bar by bar. Those 2 orders I have out right now are just protective orders, not necessarily where I needed to go to cut the loser or take the profit. Again, this is price action scalping, man. Oops. Hit 2 keys at once. I think we're good. We're good. I hit a key that's not established as a... That's why you heard that noise. Okay, so... We got half an ATR as things kind of slow down on the shrinking bull bar. So pull it off as we head into the 20 EMA on the 5. Here, let me show you. Top left, we're heading into the 20 EMA on the 5. Back to the 2 minute. Heading into the top third of that trading range. So that's a fine little scalp. Again, man, hey, ATR 16. So I'm looking on these scalps, half to a whole ATR. Got about a half ATR there. That's fine. Small little guy. Like 750 bucks. We're just getting started. Michael, I don't even think about it, dude. I don't even think about it. I did my job. I've never really had a problem with FOMO, but everyone, like, sort of does. Some people really have an issue with it. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just not in me. I don't know. I just don't really give a shit. But the thing that really helped me just completely squash it was understanding here, Michael, the truth. Like, here's the truth. Sure, you could have gotten 4 more points. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. The market opens every single morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. By 9:31, there are call options that exist that you could have bought at 3:59 the night before, and you could be rich today, even if you weren't the night before. Every single day. Life-changing money you miss out on every day. Every single day. Calls, puts, all over the board, stocks that move like crazy. There's stocks that make squeezes in 40 minutes that could change everything for you. You get in with margin right before the move. It's like, oh my God, I missed that move. Yeah, you missed 1,000 different things today. There's a whole bunch of securities that you could have bought less than 24 hours ago that would have changed your life this morning. Get over it. Do your job and move on. A little piece in the market is worth not just millions. A little piece in the market is worth billions of dollars. There is more than enough to go around if you just do your job. Dollar bill, what's the minimum points you take in a scalp? Usually about half an ATR. So it depends on the volatility of the day. All right, 50 seconds out here. You can see we have 4 consecutive, if this bull bar holds, 4 consecutive bull bars here, 2 consecutive bull bars on the 5-minute chart. The 5-minute closes in 1:40. The 2-minute here closes now in 37 seconds. Interesting. So it seems to me like the price action is getting a little bit more dramatic. You can see soft, 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 little more aggressive, little more aggressive. So getting short near the top end of this range, it's an aggressive move. I'd probably have to risk. I'm going to give it one more bar. I want to see if we can get a confirmation bar downside. The channel's wide enough to do that. It's 65 points wide. I want one more bar because that's a nice growing bull bar. I don't want to step in front of that if I don't have to. What I would do though here is if we get a small-ish bear bar closing near its low in 1:50 here on the 2-minute chart, I would be interested in having a stop limit sell, setting it 1 tick or a couple of ticks below that bar upon the rollover and getting filled to the short side. Look for a nice little push. That would be a good, I could structure that pretty well. If we get it. But in 33 seconds here, we have the 5-minute chart closing top left of your screen. And that is looking, you know, some people are going to buy that. For me, I look at that and I think, yeah, I mean, you could look to try to take out some of these stops up here, but what are you really risking? This bear look. That's a pretty hardy bear look. There's always more than one thing to do. All right, that's going to be a pretty decent bull close on the 5-minute chart. But for me, that bear look is a little too nice to buy that. For me to, by the way, top left, for me to get long here on the 5-minute chart, I would want to see a bar closing above this wick, because then it's just us and the stops. And I could justify that. I can't justify this. It's just a little too tempting, I think, for the bears to be like, yeah, range market, let's short that thing. But let's see. Let's see how the bulls manage this here. 30 seconds out here on the 2-minute chart. Let's see. Maybe we do get a close above this little wicks up here. Anthony says, how do you measure the ATR? It's calculated for us. Bottom of your screen. The blue is the ATR. The yellow or orange is the range of each individual bar. And that's in points. Points. All right, inside close on that last 2-minute. Let's see what we get here. All right, you guys remember this range, right? It's here, but I'm going to get rid of it so we can look at this with a fresh set of eyes. I like to get rid of things as soon as we can here. But you remember it's there in case the bears try to whip us back into the range. But a lot of my decision making here is resting on this bull bar. Let's see if we can get a close above like 682. If we can, then I got to get long and see if we can take out some stops up top. Right there, high of day. You know there's stops up there. Peter, hey Nico, what changed for you to start scalping half an ATR instead of holding for multiple candle moves? Nothing. Nothing changed. I've always done both. I've always done both. I scalped hard in, I think, especially the early part of that series that a lot of you guys like so much. And when the market called for it, like kind of around the time I started streaming, I was taking more like 40-point trades more consistently. I remember we had maybe one, I know one, maybe a couple 100-point trades, like 10,000 bucks, because the market called for it. Volatility was high. That time was tariff talk. Volatility was especially high. And we could, you know, you could like quote unquote afford to look for bigger moves because it didn't take all that long for the market to move that much. All right, let's see what we get here. But we are not, I'll tell you right now, for me, man, we're not really in a swing trading market unless we get a very particular type of setup. Like, for example, a big reversal sequence coming out of like the low of an intraday bear trend. You get a big, huge reversal sequence like on the 5-minute, like 2 or 3 consecutive bull bars growing, closing near their highs. It's like, okay, there's a lot of room here even until the 50% retracement. Let's put it on, risk the curl, and see if we can get 90 points. That's not happening very often right now, though. The market's just not going very far because everyone's kind of looking at it like, it's a range market, man. Markets are resistant to change. I don't know if I want to look for, 170 points on this trade. let's take 12. Let's take about an ATR, maybe half an ATR, at least the scalpers. That's what we're thinking. Keep at it, Bo. Keep at it. You will. You will. As long as you're trying to get better, you're studying your data, you're looking at things logically, you're trying to do things that make sense, you're managing risk, you're keeping a hold on your emotions, discipline over motivation, and you don't quit, you'll get paid. Keep at it. All right, we have a dual rollover coming here. You can see, top left, we have that 5-minute chart. It's really kind of what I'm looking at right now. You see this? Looks like it's going to be an inside close unless we get a nice clean pop through. If we do, I'm going to have to be quick here. Yeah, inside close, next bar. Look at these. Look at all these shrinking little bull bodies on the 2-minute chart. All right, back to the 2 here. Yeah, Redneck says going, for those of you guys just listening or in the car or something, he says, going from wanting to make more money to wanting to be a better trader has made a huge positive change to my bank account. I get it. This is such a hard reality. The people that, and I've seen this across the board, and don't let this discourage you because it's not like a certainty for you. But this tends to be the trend. The people that don't need to make the money in trading because they already make a lot of money or they have a lot of money and they're just like, I want to be a trader now. Okay, I've worked with people like that. And those people do a couple of things. They stick with it longer. They get through the hard times. They have better discipline. Now, all those things are characteristics of a successful person already. Which is why they probably already have some money or already make decent money. Okay, so there's something to be said about that. But on the other side of things, they don't need to make money today from trading. They're just like, I just want to be a good trader. And yeah, if I'm a good trader, the money comes. The same way that they're like, if I'm good at business, the money comes. Which is why they're good at business, right? Because they do the things required to be good at business. All right, hang on. We have 5 seconds here. Till we get a rollover, place that there and see if we get a fill. $15 seconds, see if we get a fill here. It's a stop limit buy, by the way. That is not a limit sell. Okay. I'm going to keep this extra tight. Because this right here is where it makes the most sense to risk, in my opinion. I mean, shit, we're risking like 1 ATR. So, let's see here. Let's see if we can get a nice push. That's the tightest risk trade we'll probably take all day. Which, what does that mean, by the way? It means probability is not quite as high, right? But that's okay. Doesn't mean it doesn't have edge. Leave that on, see if we can get a push. Okay, now the high of day is right about there, right about 702, 703. To finish my thought, that's why these people are good at business, right? So they tend to do the best in trading because they're only interested in being the best trader they can be. And they know, like, they're here to make money too. We all want to make money, right? That's why we're all doing this. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of mental capital for nothing, just to be, oh, I just want to be a good trader. No, we want to make money, but we understand that the way that you make money is you be the best trader you can be. If you come in, you just say, I don't give a shit about being a good trader, I just want to make a bunch of money, then you're not going to, because you're competing with people who just want to be the best at the thing, right? So the people who don't need the money don't also, first of all, they have all the qualities of someone who's going to be a good trader because they're already successful elsewhere. And they don't have the emotional pressure of needing the money now. They tend to do the best. So even if you need the money now, if you can do your best to just, I mean, listen, we live in a first world country. That's already a huge advantage, right? If you can do your best to just say, okay, yes, I need the money, but I am going to put all my focus in just being the best trader I can be and knowing, putting all my faith into the fact that if I just do that, the money comes and then my problems are fixed anyway. That's how you compete here. I get it. It's hard. You say, well, I got to pay my bills. The electric company just turned my lights off. All right, well, I mean, listen, that's how you compete, man. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. That's how you compete. That's what the people who are doing best here, that's how they think. So jump on board, man, or unfortunately, I guess, get left behind because you're too focused on, oh, I need money. I want to make money. You're not really respecting the craft if that's how you're thinking. And it requires respect. All right, let's see here. For me here on this trade, by the way, you know, could I have taken like a half ATR? Sure, but that's not this idea. I want to see if we can take out some stops around 702, 703. Come on, Bulls, take us up through the highs, pop us through a little bit. See if these bears defend this high a day. Again, risk on this trade is very, very tight. So, realistically, reward to risk on this scalp is a little different than normal. I'm looking for a better than 1-to-1 reward to risk, even in a range market. Obviously, for scalping, that's a little different. But, you know, that's to me how it makes sense to structure this one. Which, again, what does that mean? Probability is not quite as good as normal. But doesn't mean there's not edge. That stop hunting mentality, for me, provides edge rather consistently. Not on every trade. Well, on every trade you have edge. That doesn't mean you can't lose, right? Just the casino has edge when they deal you a hand of blackjack. Doesn't mean they have to win the hand, even if they had edge on the hand. They can still, you know, catch the 49% side of the coin flip, right? I think of it that way. Hey, Derek, doing well. All right, I'm going to grab this. Now, these stops, with volatility being what it is, if we can get a pop-up through that high, again, that's what I'm looking for some stop hunting. I don't want to look for, 8 points. Do we push through that hard? Maybe. But volatility being what it is, I think it's more probable to put it, or I think it's more reasonable, to put it maybe a couple of points above that high day. So you get a couple of points of free rocket fuel. So I'll just hover that here in case we get news. I want to stay exposed bigger to the upside, right? In case you get a news bar. All right, Bulls, come on now. So what, at best, we've been maybe 8 points in the money on this trade. Again, it's not the idea. The idea here is to see if we can pop through those highs, get us a couple extra points of rocket fuel with that stop hunting mentality. And if we don't get that, that's fine, then it won't work. It's all right. Man, things are very much so slowing here. 5 points on the last bar as far as a range. Yeah, I don't love to see it. I mean, so the scalp so far went quickly in our favor. 8 points. Pulling back now. Let's see if the bears take out that little wick low. That'll stop us if they do. Well, those bears so far here are doing a pretty damn good job defending that high a day. Pretty likely we get stopped here. Let's see if we do. All right, there we go. We're flat. Okay. Small P&L swings today, man. So I'm just sitting barely red now, a few $100 on the day. I think that's our first loser on stream since what, Tuesday? We had that little losing streak, then we were on a pretty big, maybe what, 8-trade winning streak. So let's see here, man. I'm not a fan when volatility starts tanking off below 10 on the ATR. ATR, we're still holding about 12, which we can work with 12. If it starts falling to like 7, you gotta start being kind of picky, man, because you want to take a half ATR scalp. You're looking at 3.5 points. All right, minute 25 out. Left here on this 2-minute bar. Let's see what we get. I think we're going to do it, man. I think we're hitting 102K today. We are 11 subscribers away from 102. Gotta love it. I'm not against giving that another try, though it would need to be a nice signal bar. If it were up to me right now, I'd love to get a couple of strong bear bars closing near their lows. But then we'd have to deal with the 5-minute 20 EMA, which is right around here where my cursor is on the chart. Again, this is a 2-minute that you're looking at. Let's see here. Here comes the rollover of this bar. Small little bull bar. All right, next bar. Let's see what we get. JF, good to have you. Good to have you. All right, we got a minute 23 left. Again, I would give this another try here, though we'd have to stay below that 700 region. Ideally, even a little lower. Like if we could close right about here, I'd be cool with that. Come on, Bulls, slow it down. Slow it down, let me get an entry. 65 seconds. If they pop it through that high, that was the idea on that original scalp. It might go without me here. That's fine, I can't get in, there's not an entry yet. 52 seconds, maybe we'll have one. But it's pushing close. Where my cursor is, that is the current high of day, by the way. There's the pop through, taking out a few stops. So there you go. There you see the idea on that last scalp playing out. Yeah, timing didn't work out. It's all right. Michael, how we doing? All right, we got 22 seconds left here on this 2-minute bar. See that? You pop through the high, whole bunch of bears waiting. Whole bunch of bears waiting. That's why I have my take profit set at 704.75, because this kind of thing is super common in a range market. You pop through a few points, take out the stops near the high of day, and you pull back. From here, it remains to be seen. Yeah, it happens, Doug. That happens, man. Sometimes you miss the fill by a tick. Doesn't necessarily, you know, in this case, maybe you were asking for a little much. I mean, we had the conversation like, yeah, maybe it'll go 5 points, 3 points. I think 10 is too much to ask. 6 is probably too much to ask. So I gave it a couple points above. You have to make a reasonable ask for the stops that are there based on the volatility, like how much rocket fuel do you think you're going to get. But sometimes it's just luck of the draw. You're going to miss a fill by a tick. It's part of the game. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It's just mathematically speaking, sometimes you're going to miss a stop out by 1 tick, turn around, hit take profit. Sometimes you're going to miss a take profit by 1 tick, turn around and stop you out. That triggers people so ridiculously bad. It's not your fault. It's part of the game. As long as you did your job to the best of your ability, mathematically that's going to happen on a certain small percentage of trades. It's all right. All right, guys, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. right, we are back, baby. All right, about 60 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. You can see we're really struggling around that high of day. I mean, top left, 5-minute chart, we're really struggling around that high of day. So let's see which side here is able to make a decision. Do the bears pull it back into this bigger range? This guy I'm talking about, right? This bigger range? Or do the bulls continue a little soft bull channel? All right, minute 17 out. Really nothing going on right now on the 5-minute chart. I mean, you take a look. Inside close on that last 5-minute bar. Doji on the current bar. So it's back to a 2-minute. See if we can find something. I would draw that as a flat top. You could look at this as kind of a flat bottom, or you could draw it like this. Either way, if we could get a half decent bear bar closing near its low, ideally like in this region, I would buy that rollover. Look to see if we can get a push back up toward the flat top. Not necessarily a break, but at least a push. Chris, how we doing? Good to see you. Hey, question for some of you guys. Do any of you guys, this is kind of a niche question, so hopefully I get some answers. Do any of you guys who are using the Affordable Indicators copy trader, or I guess any copy trader for that matter, but mainly the Affordable Indicators one, because that's what I'm using. Do any of you guys copy trade across both MNQ and NQ at the same time, and has it caused a lot of issues for you? Because I've been thinking about my scaling here, and for example, I really need to size up in like my 300k apex at this point. I really need to size up in my 250k apex at this point, and I feel like it's asking for copy trader issues to just start trading, you know, many more micros, like trading the equivalent of a few minis, but using micros, like maybe 20 or 30 micros. I'm trying to decide, you think I'd be better off just trading that many contracts, but keeping it to micros, or trading just 2 or 3 minis, even though my leader is trading micros? Both have their issues, right? Maybe I'll have to test. John, no issues? It's good to hear. Yeah, Vinny, when you go with a lot of... Okay, hang on. 60 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. Let's see how this closes. When you start using a lot of micros, it's almost just easier to use minis because you're dealing with less contracts. Yeah, Cisco, that's another thing to consider is commission, though I will tell you, like with take profit, it doesn't matter. With Apex, though, it matters. No, I already do that, Tron, but a lot of contracts can cause issues. But I will say I've traded... I think the most micros I've traded using this particular copy trader at one time with one of my groups was, I think, 228. And I didn't have any issues. Kevin, the Affordable Indicators won. Affordable Indicators. Hey, by the way, like maybe a month ago, I put it out there that it'd be really nice if Joel at Affordable Indicators could put in a feature that has preset groups, so I don't have to go in and select all these different accounts and figure out which ones I've traded, which ones I need to work on. Did anybody email? I know some of you guys were like, hey, I'm going to email them now. Did any of you guys email them about that feature? Again, the feature I'm wondering about is preset groups in the Affordable Indicators copier. Some of you guys said you were going to reach out. All right, we got 30 seconds out here. Let's see how this bear bar closes. $15 seconds. Inside close, nothing there, next bar. Nah, Roy, they don't yet, but they should. I never set it up. right, ATR is below 11. It's at about 10 or 11 now. All right, come on now, Bears. Give me a nice low close near that little flat. Inside close! Yeah, one tick maybe. Big wick. I can't do anything on that bar. All right, next bar here, minute 47 out. Tron, yeah, that's a good question. Nico, can you share some of the current struggles that you deal with? Because as traders, we're always dealing with stuff, right? Yeah, of course. Of course. Nobody ever, at any point ever is perfect. Because trading is really hard. You just get a little bit better over time until your edge flips positive, but you still make mistakes. You just have positive edge, which means you make money the more you do. Some of my current struggles, well, you know, this might not be what you expect, but one of the biggest things right now that I'm trying to deal with is taking enough setups in all the different accounts while still trading them in separate groups. Which again is why having preset groups would be very helpful for trying to be efficient trading many accounts, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm now trading Take Profit Trader, I'm trading Apex, I'm trading Tradeify, I need to start trading Bullinox. I have an account I haven't touched yet. Oh, I bought a MyFunded Futures account last night. I'm gonna get started at MyFunded Futures, funding ticks. If they give me code BIG, then I'll start over there. That's a big one right now, though. That's a big one. Trying to get the sample size up in all the accounts, because there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many setups in a day. When you have a bunch of accounts, it's not so easy, especially when, you know, I have to trade Apex and Bullinox separately because you can't trade two Rhythmic connections at the same time in NinjaTrader, which makes 0 sense at all. Nah, Sean, it's not a technology issue. I can do that with, and yes, I have tried the Apex copier. I hated it. I hated it. It caused me a lot of problems. That was the first copy trader I tried. I can do the, my copy trader has the functionality. It can cause issues to cross products. All right, 60 seconds out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. Yeah, Joe, because I once had a copy trader glitch. I have very good reason to not do that. I'm not going to do that. It's not the same copy trader as I'm currently using, but I once had a copy trader. I was trading, I don't know, I was copy trading in a bunch of funded Apex accounts, like 2 or 3 micros per account. I hit buy. My key did not stick. I looked in the back end and figured out what the hell happened. And the copy trader glitched and boom, it was a bunch of funded Apex 50Ks. Kept buying until it maxed out my contracts at 100 micros in all the accounts, no matter what the ratio was set to. Again, I was trying to trade 2 to 3 micros across different accounts. and it blew all the funded Apex. I don't remember. I probably had like 10 or 11. It blew them all in 2 seconds. And I stopped using that copier. So I will not be doing that with like 50 accounts. I don't care what copier I'm using. I mean, for like a while, I was pretty convinced. I was convinced that, like, shit, did my keyboard stick or something? And I did a whole bunch of testing, and that's not what happened, because eventually Copy Trader, he made it right, by the way. He came back. I talked to the I guess, owner or developer of the Copy Trader, and he said, no, it was on their end. They had it happen to a few people. Yes, Joe, that's exactly right. All right, ATR is at about 10. We got a minute 26 left on this 2-minute bar. Let's see how it closes. You can see, this is one of those scenarios where you start looking at it like, okay, does this range start tightening up into this kind of thing? It's really common to see this kind of thing happen. But I try not to fall for those small little new lines inside a channel. Keep it basic, look at the full channel. All right, 38 seconds till the closure of this 2-minute bar. If we do get a close near the high of this channel, you know, given the option, I'd prefer to buy a bear bar closing near the low of the channel, but I would short a bull bar closing near the high of the channel, depending how it looks. In many ways, I would prefer to see that and then get a small bear bar closing near the low, and then I would enter short using a stop limit sell below the bear bar on that rollover. So here comes the rollover of this bar. Nothing there. Next bar, 2 minutes out. Shadow, Nico, do you think at one point you will need to go for a larger account? I have bigger accounts. They're not all. Maybe if you're asking, like, do I think at some point I'm going to have to go with 300Ks at Apex? I honestly, I don't know if I want to do that, because it's just... Once you're trading well, here's just the reality. It's not that big of a deal to be getting payouts on like 50Ks. The 300Ks though, it's harder. I mean, mathematically, it's harder to get payouts on the 300Ks. I think it smooths out the equity curve to have a mix. I know it smooths out the equity curve to have a mix. Just to have payouts coming in relatively, as consistently as you possibly can. So, no, I think rather than going that route, what I would do is I would have moderate sized accounts like 50Ks, 150Ks. Again, I have a 250K at Apex. I have a 300K at Apex. But I gotta tell you, I'm a really big fan of the 50Ks, the 100K statics, and the 150Ks at Apex. Those are my top 3 at Apex. And then from there, it's like, well, then how do you make more money? You scale to more prop firms. But now here again, I'm faced with the issue of, well, how do I get the sample size big enough across all the prop firms? I just have to be as efficient as possible. And when volatility picks up, it will get a little easier to do that. But again, you asked, what's something you're struggling with right now? That's right now, sample size across all the funded accounts, especially when I'm scaling to like my fifth prop firm, soon to be 6. It starts to get a little taxing to try to get the sample size up in all the accounts, but I'm gonna be able to do it. It's just, that's something I'm figuring out. All right, 48 seconds left here on this 2-minute bar. Volatility is fading. We're creeping down to 10.1 on the ATR now. 6.5 points on that last 2-minute bar. Tight volatility here. Yeah, Machado, so the ratio, yes, it becomes the same once you're in the funded account. But you guys know mental capital is massively important. So there's a few different things to think about. I mean, the expenses, as long as you have a positive ROI per account, I don't think you should worry too much about the expenses as long as you're not being irresponsible with your expenses. But let's say you have 300K fundeds at Apex. I mean, if you're trading them in 2 groups, maybe if you blow 10 of them, for me it's a pretty simple, straightforward. I hesitate to use the word easy, but I will. Easy process to just pass some 50Ks in the afternoon. Like, it's not that big of a deal. To pass the 300Ks, it's a little bit more involved because it's harder. Mathematically, the ratio is a lot different. But I know what you're saying. Appreciate you, Brad. All right, 25 seconds out. Let's see how this 2-minute bar closes. All right, inside bar there. All right, back in a minute or two. Just grabbing coffee. All right, we are back. Now, I had to put on a little trade a second ago. Here, let me show you. There we go. See this bear bar closing near its low at the low end of the channel. Had to put that on. And now we are back, so there you are. See if we can get a fade back up into the range, or if I have to manage this on a bar early. 45 seconds out. Let's see what we get. Came back to the screen, there was like 7 seconds left on that bar. I'm like, shit, I gotta toss that on. Christian, how we doing? Chris B says this is my single worst day all year. That's all right. I mean, listen, Chris, I know you're not feeling too hot right now, but one day's got to be the worst day of the year, right? We all have the worst day of the year every year. All upside from here, the rest of 2025. How about that? All right, we got a minute 35 left here on this 2-minute bar. Let's see how we close. If the bears do in the next, minute, give us a nice close, clean close near the low of a bear bar on this bar, below this previous bar's wick low, cut it for a few point loss, move on. An idea here on this trade is I'm just betting against the breakout. That's all I'm doing. We're going to see if the bulls can fade it back up into the range. At least to the half point range. I'm sorry, half point in the range. HR is sitting about 10. Casual says, I bet momentum changes heavy on the hour. Well, we'll see. We'll see if you're right here. We have the 1 p.m. Eastern rollover here in 52 seconds. For me, just managing this bar by bar. See if the bears can give us a decent close here. If they do in 35 seconds, got to be a good close out of them, but we'll cut it and move on. Well, inside close out of the bears. Sitting right on top of the 20 EMA on the 5-minute, by the way. Top left of your screen, you see that? Doesn't mean everything, but important to kind of understand that it's there, right? Somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's watched heavily enough on the 5 that people do make decisions around it, though I'm not, that's not the point of this trade. The point of this trade is just betting against the breakout. Betting that the bulls take it back into the range. And if they don't, we'll manage bar by bar. So we'll have to make a decision here in a minute 30. Which, by the way, that decision can be do nothing. Doesn't always have to be a take it off decision. $50 seconds. Oh, bear's taking it low, baby. All right, protective stop is out. Place that protective stop a little smaller than the width of the range and beneath this wick here. So that's there to catch us if needed. All right, that's gonna stop us, man. Big old strong bear push. All right, we have 3 minutes, 15 seconds till the close here of the 5-minute bar. You're looking at a 2-minute chart. All right, so let's see here. Decent close there out of the bears. We got about 2 minutes, 47 seconds left on the 5-minute. So I want to see this next 2-minute bar. And if nothing's on this next 2-minute bar, then I want to see the 5-minute close. We got a lot happen in the next 2.5 minutes. Biblical, when it's clearly below the 10 EMA and it's not going higher, is there any reason you stay in a trade? Yeah, discipline. I don't care about the 10 EMA. Can't make a trade decision based on the 10 exponential moving average on the 2-minute chart. No one's watching it. It means nothing. I should really just take that's a 20 EMA, by the way. I should really take that off the screen and maybe just add volume weighted average price. Stop confusing people, but I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm never looking at this 20 EMA on the 2-minute and saying, okay, I'm going to make a decision based on that. If I'm ever talking about an EMA, it's always the 20 EMA on the 5-minute because people actually watch it. I'm going to just stop them at buy ready because you can see the bulls. See if they get a nice strong close. Yeah, it's an inside close, but that's a reversal attempt. Give that 10 seconds to give us a fill. We will get a fill. This makes it really easy to structure a trade, which is why I like this kind of setup. And I'll put it on when I see it. See if we can get a push back up into the channel. At least back up toward the channel, right? Decent quick push, in the money quickly. But, we're not taking 4 points. Back at the 20 EMA on the 5. It's all right. Looking to see if we can't get a push back into the channel, not necessarily just at. So basically looking for at least a full ATR. you know, 10, 11 points as kind of a minimum here, ideally on this little scalp. Wouldn't call it a little scalp, but with the ATR being what it is. But, you know, I mean, contextually, it's not like we're looking for 80 points. Jerry, yeah, you can only trade 10 minis on the Apex 50Ks, but I'm trading micros and I'm copy trading across a bunch of funded accounts. So you get more by scaling out the number of accounts. Scale horizontally, not vertically. Kirox, do you think you trade better on stream because you're more picky to be right in front of an audience? Or does off-stream trading let you enter a flow state? My focus is better, of course, off-stream. But it doesn't make a tremendous difference. I just do what I do, and if I lose, I don't care. I just don't care. Listen, this is a big sample size game. So if you know, someone's like, oh, I tuned into the stream, he lost the first trade I took. If they want to leave and never come back, then I don't want them here. Because they're not looking at the game for what it is. Right, so it doesn't make a tremendous difference. I just do what I do. Let's see if the bears take out that wick low. If so, it'll stop us. We can move on. So we've been in the money a couple of times on this scalp. At best, we were maybe 8 points in the money. Which, you know, I'm looking to get at least an ATR. So 10, 11, maybe 12 points. Push back into the range. All right, decent little push. See if we can get to 1 ATR, maybe 11-ish points. Just pressing back into the range a little bit. Not looking to backfill the entire range. Looking to make a reasonable ask. About 1 ATR here. You can see bulls having a little bit of a hard time around the low end of that trading range. I need my full 1 ATR. Hyper, how much are commissions and exchange fees for a trade with 49 micros? Not that much. If you have an edge, don't worry about it. You have to pay them anyway to trade. Cost of doing business. I've seen people get so caught up in commissions and shit trying to like, yeah, you should optimize commissions. You should, if you've been trading with a particular broker for a while. It's different with prop trading, but if you've been trading a personal account with a broker for a while, you should have a rep who you get in direct contact with, and you say like, hey, you know, could we, my volume's pretty high, could we lower this to this? Oftentimes they'll say, yeah, we could do this. You cut a deal. But it's the cost of doing business, man. Don't not make money because you don't want to pay commissions. It's part of the game. And I'll tell you one thing, in this industry, you get what you pay for. Okay, so free commission trading, there's a reason it's free. They got to make money somehow, right? Your trade is the product. Slows you down and costs you a little bit extra anyway. Just pay the commission, move on, get a better fill, direct access. But again, prop trading's different. Yeah, having a bit of a hard time here, SK. Yep. No, Saint. It's a voice changer. Use it every day. Bull's really struggling around here. I mean, I'll tell you what. The trade idea hasn't changed. I still want to see 1 ATR, otherwise I can't really structure it in a way that makes sense if I'm taking 4 points. A lot of people would take 4 points, but then again, a lot of people lose over time, right? So you gotta be willing to let it go 10 points and say, I structured this to get 12. And then if it turns around and stops you, you're not punching a hole through the wall like a child. Part of the game, man. See if the Bears take out the Wick low. Stops 1 point beneath that wick low. Let's see here at best. Yeah, it wicked to 11 points. Never really had a true 11-point look to take it off at. Yep, Vinny, no one wants to believe it, man. You hear all about it. You hear all about it when a trade goes one tick from your take profit, then turns around and stops you out. They're telling everybody. Everyone in the chat is like, you should have just taken it off. And then when it goes one tick toward your stop, turns around and turns into a winner, no one thinks about it. Everyone goes, nice trade. Happens both ways. It does not discriminate, man. Just find an edge and execute it with as big of a sample size as possible without giving it away. That is the business model in one sentence. All right, ATR is about 12 here now. There we go. All right, we're flat. Not flat yet. Now we're flat. It's that copy trader ghost order issue. All right, on to the next. Okay, so coming into today, I was up somewhere between 19 and 21,000 on the week. Because I was pretty consistent with the daily goal. Now today, that has me currently where we sit. I'm not done trading. Currently where we sit, I am now up maybe 15 or 16,000, like 16,000 on the week. Which, you know, I'd like to clean this up if we can. My weekly goal is, you know, 25,000, which 5,000 a day. You can average that. Gets you to about $25,000 weeks, which, you know, gets you to the 100,000 a month. So a little light this week so far, but you know, gotta do what we can do. Next setup here. Yeah, free can. Every day. Morning. I don't include that, by the way, when I'm telling you guys, like, P&Ls. Everything I say on here, I'm just referring to prop. All I kept hearing, man, for the longest time, all I kept hearing is, prop trading's a scam, it's a scam, it's a scam. I'm like, yeah, everything's a scam when you're broke. Broke people think everything is a fucking scam. Loser mentality. Some things are scams, like the people who pretend to be me on Discord and tell you that I'm running a crypto scheme. Those are scams. Been the same people at it for years, dude. Discord's not doing anything to shut it down. But I can tell you, prop trading is not a scam. It's a business. It's a business. There are winners and there are losers. Nice bull bar here. Let's see what we get as far as a close. What do you guys think here? Does this little descending bear channel hold up, or are we heading back up into that flat range? Let's clean this up. Yeah, Sean. You guys know I'm not like a big crypto guy, okay? For lots of reasons. I'm just, I'm a trader at heart. I like things that trade well. For active trading. Crypto's not there yet. But, sometimes you look at a Bitcoin chart and you're like, man, if when you were like a teenager or even, a little kid, if you had just mowed lawns all summer, put it all into Bitcoin. But you could, for every Bitcoin, there's 10,000 failed projects. So that's the same kind of FOMO as, you missed out on life-changing money every morning by 9:31. Same mentality. Don't think that way. Good to have you, FS. Hope to see you become a regular in the chat. All right. Big ol' inside closed bull bar met with a big ol' bear bar. This market's indecisive right now, man. Look at that. In the last 4 minutes, we went literally nowhere within a couple of ticks. All right, you guys know what we got to look at, right? We got to look at this as a potential flat bottom. We also have a potential little flat top here. New range? Maybe. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'll tell you what. It's about that time for me to hit lunch, come back in the afternoon. I'll trade on my own and see if we can get a little bit more volatility. Give us an opportunity to clean things up. Have a good day heading into the weekend. By the way, listen, guys. I know, it's Friday. We're heading into a weekend, obviously. This is a big point of discussion here. I know a lot of you guys, you're in the early days of trading mentality where you're like, Friday, there's extra pressure to be green. Because if you're red on a Friday, feels like shit all weekend, doesn't it? You gotta move past that. You need to be able to zoom out and say, I showed up, it happened to be a Friday. You know, I did my job. It didn't work that day. I selected a few trades out of a large sample size, put them together today, right? Today. Put them together. Oh, net loser. But if I throw them back into the big pile of 1,000 trades, oh, it's very green. Right, I get it. It's hard, man. It's hard. You're like, no, I need money now. I get it. It's really hard. That's why most traders are going to quit. Because it's really, really hard. That's the mindset you have to get into. Because that's the mindset that, you know, the people you're competing against are in because they have the data to back that up. They can look at that and say, oh, yeah, that's true. In the early days, you don't have that luxury. You don't have the data yet. So in a lot of ways, you kind of got to just look at it and say, okay, how are the winners thinking about this? That's how they're thinking. I do believe I have an edge. This is what you're saying to yourself, right? I believe I have an edge, so I'm going to think, okay, you know, happened to be right on a Friday. Could have been a Tuesday, could have been a Thursday. The only significance, by the way, of any one day in the big sample size is the fact that you get up from your computer, you go to bed, you get back up, you come sit down. That's the only significance. It's not a real stop and go, right? Because at the end of the sample size, you put them all together anyway. Hopefully that makes sense to at least some of you guys who are looking at your data. If you're not tracking it yet, what are you doing here? Come on now. All right, guys. Time for me to hit lunch. Hey, use code BIG, baby, all weekend long. Best deal always. Take Profit Trader. If you're trying to bootstrap going full time, I recommend starting off with Take Profit Trader. You need money coming in now, and they do daily payouts. If it's time to scale and go big, baby, it's Apex. Same code BIG. They are 80% off single day pass. And at Tradeify, if you want to skip the eval, go Lightning funded, 35% off. Those instantly funded accounts at Tradeify with code BIG. All right, guys. See you Monday for Midas Monday. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Let's hit 102K, baby. All right, see you Monday. Have a good one.